Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We are talking about stepping into empowerment. Boy, what a year this is for stepping into empowerment. And today we have beings from the higher realms who are going to be bringing forth information on our current times and how we can best navigate. Steve Rother is here with us. Oh my goodness, Steve Rother is in the house. He is
It's an
an
honor.
international channel and such a powerful guide. Steve, welcome to the show. Thank you for
Thank
being.
you. Thanks for inviting me. It's an honor to connect with you. Yeah, it's like like I said before we started, the group's already kind of told me that this is going to work. This is a connection that you and I apparently have had many lifetimes ago. So it's a kind of a reconnection in some ways. It's good to see you again. I'll put it that way.
It's good to see you again as well. Bien
Uh,
verte también. Okay. So you have been channeling the group since 1996.
that's right.
Wow. That's 30 years, almost 30 years. And the wisdom actually has changed your life and changed the lives
Oh,
of our
jeez.
students. Yeah. What is the most profound thing that you've learned from the group? I know there must be many, but is there any one thing that sticks out as a pivotal point?
Probably for me, one of the biggest things that I had to personally learn was that if I stand on a stage and channel the group, it doesn't mean that I have to be perfect. It also means that they have chosen me because of because of who I am, because of even some of my frailties, even some of the things that they have, and they've chosen other people for other things. So the idea for me to be able to stand up there and balance the ego is a huge piece. That took some
Wow.
work. That took some work.
Balancing the ego. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
sure.
So, when you began to channel, I mean, you've been doing this for decades. Can you, for those who are not familiar with that story, can you share what that was like? What happened as you
Sure.
opened up to this? Because you were one of the first few that started doing this publicly, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yes, I was in that first wave of energy actually, but this has been going on for a very long time. You want to go back further into generations and generations, you can come up with Edgar Casey, you can come up with Jane Roberts, you can come up with the Set material. There's so much that has been back there that has been planting these seeds, these important seeds, and I was very fortunate to be kind of a part of some of that. What happened to me? I lived in a totally different world. I was a totally different person. I was a general contractor in San Diego. Every every sentence started with the letter F to let you know.
Ah,
I mean, it was just I lived in a different world entirely.
contractors.
Exactly. If you want to communicate, you have to do that. So basically, so that's kind of the world that I lived in. My wife was into metaphysics. She'd go to her church on Sundays and I'd stay home and watch the kids. I said, honey, you go do your stuff. I'm really not into that. Thank you. But go. So anyway, I don't drink. So on New Year's Eve, we always have a challenge of what we're going to do. We're always trying to look for something to celebrate and something to do that doesn't involve a lot of drinking all around. So she said, honey, I got the perfect thing. She says, I want you to come to my church. They're having a special thing that where we can go from one year and to set our intent into the next year. I'm very excited about it. And I said, you know, I want to support you in this. And you keep talking about these people. I'd love to meet some of them. Okay, I'll go. And my idea was I knew that I didn't know the language. I knew that they were going to be talking about things that I didn't know about. They were going to be talking about energy. What is energy? I'm a typical male. And so anyway, my whole idea was to get through the night and just kind of shake my head and nod a lot and smile a lot. And I did, and it worked fine. We had a great time. At the end of the night, we all hugged and kissed. We went home for a couple of hours. and then came back and met on the beach in San Diego. And those of us that came back, there was only about 10 or 15, we did an intention ceremony around a big bonfire on the beach. And it was a beautiful thing. The idea was you were supposed to hold this smudge stick up to the rising sun, and you had written your intent for the next year. You're supposed to read it. You're supposed to throw your old intent and your old stuff in the fire. You know, it was a beautiful little intention setting ceremony. So I did that. I grabbed this thing and I held it up to the sun, and I couldn't read a thing. And then the tears started. And that's when the group came into me. And I couldn't focus on anything. And I became aware that my shirt was getting wet because I was crying so much. Um, it, it, it still touches me to think about that moment, but that was the moment that the group came into me. And I'm coming up on the 30-year anniversary in December of this year. So basically, this has been what at that moment. Now, my life changed in that instant. My wife was there. We were all part of it. She's passed away a few years ago, but she was all a part of it. And our lives just totally shifted from that point forward. We pulled us out of what we were doing. I wrote this book, which I never thought I'd write a book. I couldn't wait to get out of high school. I was not a student. You could not have convinced me that I would write 8 books and that to be translated into 18 languages, but they were.
Wow.
So it was all set up by the group. I'd love to take credit for all of it, but it was obviously something I walked right into and followed my instructions, which was the biggest thing.
Yes, this
So
is definitely a soul contract. Would you
it is
agree? Absolutely.
absolutely.
And so now that you've known the group for so long and you can sense their energy,
Yeah.
what is that relation to you? Are you part of that group? Like, or have they been with you in past lives? Maybe even Lemuria and Atlantis?
Many lifetimes. They
Many.
have never been to Earth. They told me that. So
Okay.
none of them, there's 9 of us. They say that it's the group of 9. There's 8 of them and me.
Oh,
Now I'm
wow.
aware that there's other groups of 9, there's groups of 12, there's the Elohim, which is 8. There's all these different numbers of spirits up there. I keep asking, are you these guys or were you, do you know these people? Kind of like their neighbors and stuff. And they laugh hysterically when I ask questions like that. They say, you
Mm.
have no idea how connected we are. When you get home, you're going to pull off the veil and you're all going to find out you've been channeling the same entity.
Okay,
And
wow. Feel that, everyone. Feel
and
that in your body.
whoa, yeah, exactly. That's what hit me. So
That instantaneously, when we feel into that interconnectedness of
right,
everything, it is so comforting. It truly is comforting. So, wow. Okay, we're going to go into a conversation and we're going to have you channel the group. I do just want to say
sure.
condolences on sweet Barbara. I know you must miss her.
Oh
How are
yeah.
you doing with that?
Oh, we were married. We were together for 50 years. We were married
Mm-hmm.
for 48 years.
Mm-hmm.
Barb and I had a wonderful relationship for all this time. We never dreamed that we would work together. And we couldn't even play tennis on the same side. We had to be opposite. So I mean, it was one of those relationships. And we just said, okay, that's fine. We're not going to work together. This came along, and it was a major change for Barbara because she considered herself to be a recovering Catholic. She was told that only the Pope speaks to God, and nobody else. So, and she knew I wasn't one of those. So it was very difficult for her to accept. After a fairly short time, that all changed. She was my greatest critic and my greatest fan. She
Wait.
was my greatest critic because she knew that most of this stuff coming out of my mouth was not stuff that I previously knew. She was very much aware that this information and this heart connection was new and was real and was very present. So after that, she became part of the work. We worked together. We traveled for 15 years with a different country every month. We would take off December. That was the month that we would take off. But every other month, we were in a different country for 2 weeks, and then we'd come home for 2 weeks. And it was marvelous. We got to see things that other, well, because we not only went to Russia, we not only went to Kazakhstan, we not only went to all these crazy places, Sao Paulo, but the
Wow.
host would want to take us to their favorite places. So we got to see some really beautiful
Mhm.
people and meet some. And if I could give anything to everybody, it would be the ability to travel. You'll see
Mm.
that we're all the same, and we're all looking. We wear different clothes, we speak different languages, we have different customs, and we're all exactly the same. It's magical.
And that's just so full of love and just so beautiful. And that's a desire. I have one of these dreams. If there were all the money in the world, if I was a philanthropist, I would create
Yeah.
scholarships for high school kids to get out of the country. That
Oh, that's
perspective right there changes a life and
it
changes a
does.
perspective. And wow. Okay, so I just want to say you guys are the epitome of a divine couple.
Thank you.
What a contract that you fulfilled, right? And so this December, do you still do that? Or I know it's changed since Barbara, is she assisting you on the other side?
She's I hear from Barbara all the time. I do not channel Barbara. She's way too close to me for me to channel. There has to be somewhat of a energetic distance, but I
Mhm.
hear from her all the time. I
Yeah.
walk into a room and her picture's showing up on my television screen. Now, I have something that puts it up on the television screen, but the connections and the smiles and the and the stuff that comes from her is just amazing.
I love
I've
that.
also fallen in love, which is something I never thought I would do after Barbara left.
Oh,
And well,
congratulations.
now I've got a lot of conflicts. How would Barbara feel about that? Well, Barbara knew her well. Now, so we've got all these conflicts. We've got an age difference, we've got a 6,000-mile difference. She lives in Europe. So basically, we've got all this thing coming up. But so she asks Barbara one time, she
Okay.
says, Barbara, I want to know, are,
Mhm.
are you behind this? Did you set this up? 5 minutes later, she walks out in the backyard of my house and there's a rainbow, which was
Oh.
Barbara's signature, and it ends in my backyard. Elka walks out, she puts her hand up. It looks like the rainbow is coming out of her hand. And I got that picture. I framed it on my wall. A week later, we're in her house in Belgium, and the same thing happened. And I have a picture of that. We're
Okay.
sure that Barbara communicates with us on all these levels and is encouraging us to love each other and to express. And yes,
Yes, love is free, love is
it is.
eternal. So that is so.
It is.
Wow. Okay, that's such good news. That's so heartwarming. Truly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And all of us give you so much love. And it's an inspiration because grief and losing someone like that could be hard, but you are managing and it's not easy, but wow, love is
Well,
all
she has a
around.
she has a different place in my life now. That's all it is. So she moves from here to a different place, but she's still here in some ways. So
Hi,
it's magical.
Barbara. Okay. All
Thank
right. And welcome to the love of your life as well. That's so great.
you.
Okay. Good. Well, so uplifting just that. So, all right, let's talk then about channeling because what we're learning in this planet right now is that maybe we are all channeling in different ways. We're just not aware of it, but there's something to it, right? And so, what is channeling? And really, how would we begin to tap into that in our own life? Can you share on that?
Yes, absolutely. We teach channeling classes on a fairly regular basis because this is a huge question. The reality is, the way the group shows it to me, we all channel. We have always channeled. We call it different things. If you're into photography and you have a gift of being able to see something, that's a channel. You express it one way. If you're a musician, it comes in as a beautiful piece of music that you're going to try and duplicate. If you're an artist, we channel in different ways and we call it different things. Now, I channel as a connection to entities on the other side. But people do get that all the time anyway. Now, you've always got these people that are the scientists that say, no, 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 there has to be. But if you follow the scientists themselves, they had these moments of clear inspiration where they got everything in one download. That's a channel. That's what I call a channel, plain and simple. Sometimes I'll get it all at once, and sometimes it even takes me a day or two to sort it out and figure out what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden I turn on the camera and the channel comes out and it makes sense. Um, there's a lot of different ways that I channel. How do we do that? Well, the first thing to do is to find your first form of channeling. If you're really good at the piano, you're probably a musician. That's first form. It's not a problem. You can learn other forms of channeling, but you first of all lean into the form that you're already using. After that, you have to take on a new persona. That's what a channel is. They're going to come in with their energy and overlay yours. You have to feel comfortable with that. If you don't feel comfortable with that, end it. It's real simple. It's about your comfort. It's not about fear. Nobody's going to take you over unless you want them to. It's about allowing that persona and then speaking as that persona. In some of the channeling classes that we did in person, we did one in Holland that was just magical. There was about 100 people. And we did a channeling class where we asked people to take on this persona, but to actually pretend it was a cartoon character, to speak for 5 minutes as your favorite cartoon character so you could kind of get used to speaking as someone else. And we had more fun. We couldn't stop laughing the rest of the day because of all these fun things that came up, but it released people out of their own comfort zone to be able to channel through something else. Actors do it all the time. We have people that are really good at being able to do that, to tap into certain things. I happen to be able to tap into this energy that I call the group, and that's my perfection. Another thing that we see a lot that we also teach is light language.
Mm.
If you ever find yourself just wanting to learn, lock yourself in a closet. Don't let anybody hear it the first time because it's embarrassing. And just blubber, just speak without language, and whatever comes out. And pretty soon you'll perfect it a little bit. You'll probably even pick up a piece of a language that you may have known previously, and you'll start getting the meaning behind the blubbering. That's a channel to be able to tap into it. So there's lots of different ways that we can ease you into this, but know that it's not nearly as mysterious as most people think. And the other question that I had in the beginning, now there's different ways that we channel. There's clairvoyants who see things. There's the clairaudience who hear things. There's the clairsentients who just pick it up through their energy and so forth. But the one that I am is claircognizant. All of a sudden I know something. And I think most of us are actually that way, but we don't trust it because you know what I mean? We didn't have the experience. We didn't read it in the book. We didn't have the vision that I can go back to. We didn't have someone speaking to me that I can go back to. So learning to trust that claircognizance was a big one for me. But I'm pretty good at it now. I lean into it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's okay. And
Okay, that's good. So trusting, that is a big thing. Trusting even with light language and everything.
all of it.
Can
That's
you,
it.
so the trust, and even though you may notice that this was not exactly accurate or maybe it wasn't correct, there's something about the frequency in the message, right? It's
Yes.
different and we can feel that. Is it heart opening? I mean, it's like
It's
like
huge.
like Barbara, she knew that this you would never speak that way normally. So she knew that this was something that was real and authentic. So what about the frequency? Because the messages will be uplifting,
Yes.
right?
No, they are. They absolutely are.
They
Every
are.
time, well, on a personal basis, they told me that every time I channel, I stop aging. Okay, I'm ready to go into channel now. So yes, it has an effect on me personally, physically as well. I come alive. I can be in a horrible mood just before I walked in the door, and I can sit down here and even talk to you as the group like I am right now. And they just kind of take over and everything shifts. And if I'm sick, there was a time in Turkey I was running 103 fever, and we decided to go ahead and have the seminar anyway. It was really ridiculous, but the moment I went on stage, I was fine. they take care of me when I'm in channel. So now on the breaks in Turkey in Ankara when we were doing that, I was horrible. They thought, yeah, but when the channel comes in, I'm good. So there's a lot to that. There's a tremendous amount to that. And that heart opening that you talk about, you know, one of the most beautiful things that the group has said is that we're talking about the fifth dimension. We're talking about living a higher life right here, right now. But we keep thinking the fifth dimension is a place. It's not a place, it's a frequency. That's exactly what it is. So anything that we can do to raise our vibration, even momentarily, helps us anchor the fifth dimensional reality that we're starting to be in more all the time.
All right, there you go. As we've heard before, New Earth is a frequency, 5D is a frequency. These are frequencies. So things that keep us into the lower frequencies, the lower density, the news, certainly we have to keep our one eye on the news over here just to keep part of that. Maybe the group has something to say about that. We can get into it. But this is where we are in ultimate control, right? We are in control of
We
that
are,
frequency. Okay.
we are.
So let me ask you, it's obvious and very evident that this energy of the group is literally in your body as you were had a 103 degrees fever, but when you began to channel, what happens to you? Do you find that your ego or your mind takes a back seat? Do you remember it? Are you a conscious channel?
Yes. No, I'm a
Okay.
conscious channel. If you
Mhm.
pinch me while I'm channeling, I'll say, ow. I literally, I'm here. I'm very much aware of it. What I'm doing is I'm busy. They're dropping this stuff in back here. So I'm trying to find the words for it to be
Uh,
able, I consider myself to be a translator most of the time. Now,
mhm,
most of the time, if I'm sitting down to give a class, which is channeled, I know where we're going. I know the subject that the group wants to cover, so I'm kind of got a head start. I can even have some videos or some images that might help in some way. But when the group takes over, many times they take whatever PowerPoints I prepared and they just push it aside and go a different direction entirely. So yeah, it's really interesting. But they bring in stuff that is just it's like they have that button that they can push and touch your heart. It's just amazing what happens with that. And I
mhm.
I'm luckiest guy in the world. I really am. Not only do I get to channel the group, but I've fallen in love deeply twice in my life. Uh, who would have thought? Uh,
Who would have
yeah,
thought? That's
yeah.
so wonderful. Really good. We all want what you want, what you have, what you're having. The fact is that we can have that. We
You
really, truly
can.
can. We can have love in our life, no matter what the circumstances are. Again, love is free. Love is
It is.
free. It's hard
That's
to
right.
say goodbye to someone. Actually, recently I had to let someone go who I care about very
Oh,
deeply. And so it was like, okay, but every day gets better, right? Every day gets better. And when we remember, we can shift our energy into this radiant heart light. It actually is a return to self-love. This
that's
love
it.
that we share with others absolutely helps us love ourselves even more, right?
And if you have that opportunity to share someone's passing, it will touch you in a way that you could never be touched before.
Mm,
A wave of energy goes out that can touch anybody around it when someone passes, even
oh,
if we don't know it, even if it's someone who doesn't have anybody watching. A wave of energy goes out. Sometimes the waves are really big. Children, big waves. We all get hit. The reality is we all feel those crossings. It's
yeah.
a beautiful and magical and yet scary time. We should be teaching this stuff in grade school. We're all going to experience it, yet we've got so much fear around death because
Mm,
we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know anything about it. My
mm,
last book, the latest book that I've written, Crossing the Veil, is about that. It's about
mm,
what happens to us before we come into planet Earth and what happens as we die, as we leave, and what happens when we go home, when we
mm,
leave the body. But it's very challenging because we have so many belief systems that get in the way, and so many competing other ideas and so forth, and a lot of it around control. Oh, you don't want to go to hell. I mean, oh goodness.
Mm,
So it can
mhm.
be challenging. We've had a lot that goes on.
Yes, and hopefully the book that you offer will help dispel some of the dogma
I
of
hope
our
so.
institutionalized religions, the fear of God, that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, all right. Is there anything else you'd like to say about channeling before we bring the group in?
I will tell you that they are very liable to talk about the multidimensionality that's happening right now. So let me explain that very briefly so that the group doesn't have to do it. They basically say that we are in a experience on planet Earth where perfection is not allowed. So as we come in as a perfect spirit, we hit this crystal. We call it the higher self. The crystal divides this light off into 11 different rays, colors, if you will, imperfect light. And we have 11 different experiences, not just one, but 11 different experiences in multiple dimensions at the same time. And this has been the way for a very long time. And quite honestly, it hasn't been important up to now. So it hasn't really been taught much. But now it's becoming important because those dimensional walls between that have separated the dimension, vibrational walls, the reality is they're starting to thin and we're starting to cross over into other dimensions. If you have heard anything about the Mandela effect, that is an example of crossing dimensions. Those things exist in other dimensions, the way we remember them here in this one, because we're starting to cross those dimensions. There's a lot more coming. And they may talk about that. Now that I've said that, they probably won't talk about it. So that that may be the case. But
Ooh.
anyway, I wanted to describe that because that is something that's really, they've been really talking a lot about in the recent channels and so forth to be able to do that. But anyway,
Okay, so let me clarify 11 additional dimensions. So there's 12 total, including us, or is it
there's
just 11?
there's 12, including the
12.
higher self. So there's
Oh,
actually
okay.
11 different dimensions and the higher self. The
And
higher self connects all the dimensions and all of us to home. So that's how everything basically comes in. That's their illustration.
for those who are on our Zoom audience, if you've got a question regarding this multidimensionality, please put it in our chat and we'll get to it in our channeling with Steve and the group. Okay, so what do you need to do to prepare?
And they've been pushing me saying, okay, Steve, you've talked long enough.
Okay, group, we're welcome. We're ready for you now. Thank
All right.
you.
I'm gonna take a couple of breaths. They don't like me. They don't like the hat, so I'll use the hat. But I'm on a different studio today, so I've got some glare. That's why I was wearing my hat, but that's okay. Anyway, take a couple of breaths. Greetings from home, dear ones. We join you at such a special time in your evolution. You see, we see you from our side of the veil, but we see a uniqueness in each and every one of you. You each have carried special seeds of this new energy which is starting to plant on planet Earth. You may not know it, and you may not have the confidence in it that we have, but we see some very magical things starting to take place. There have been many seeds that have been laid down on planet Earth. They are starting to rise. They're starting to sprout. You're starting to see a new cycle of growth starting to happen in many ways. And we've described this in many different ways. One of the ways that we describe this is the rise of the feminine energy. Now, the challenge about describing it as feminine energy is that it seems to divide the masculine and the feminine, but you both carry both energies. So it's a balance of both. But for very long times, dear ones, your societies, your systems in general, have been run by mostly male energy. That is starting to change. The feminine is starting to rise, but the feminine does things differently. So it's difficult to put it into one word or two words, but if we had to, we would simply say the feminine is more about blending and balance, whereas the masculine is more about force. Both are needed on your planet. There are times you certainly need force, and there's times you certainly need blending. But the idea is to balance both of these. So what happens is, as much of this new energy has been coming in the last several years, you've also seen the masculine trying to grab hold of everything and trying to control it in every way possible. Please do not take that seriously. That is a temporary illusion. We will tell you that. Keep your focus on the feminine energy. Try to bring as much balance into your life and know that there are no sides. You can only be divided if you take a side. But, dear ones, if you have this being over here who believes this and this being over here who believes this, you have competing things that don't seem to ever connect. Yet, if you take this person back in their history to where they learned these things, and you take this person back in their history, and you keep doing that, you both originated as spirits from home. You're both exactly the same, expressing things different because of your experiences that you've had up to that point. And that is all. If you are ever able to see the ways you are like instead of the ways you are different, you anchor the feminine energy in a whole new way. And that is beginning now. We're very excited. Yes, you have turmoil on your planet. Yes, you have war on your planet. Yes, you have genocide on your planet taking place right now. And we are hoping that as this all starts to awaken from the dream, that this may be the last time that happens. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Hold that as a seed that allow us to plant in your psyche. Know that you have a new world coming. The whole fifth dimensional reality exists right now. Yes, it's difficult, but you're creator beings. You're learning to create every second and every moment. The challenge about that is that even though the fifth dimension is here, you woke up in the third dimension. You've been living there a long time. So every day when you wake up, you create the third dimension inside the fifth dimension. We never didn't think of that, but there you are. So the reality is the more that you can anchor of the higher vibrations, the more energy, the more things that you can do, the more times you can go inside and settle yourself, the more times you can do deep breathing and release the energy from your vagus nerve, the more times that you can touch home and open that heart, the more reality that you change on this planet. You may think you're alone. You're not. You're part of everything. And we're very honored that you are here at this moment, working in this way. Now, some of you know your path. Many of you are healers and teachers in your own right. Whether you know that yet or not, the reality is you've brought some very important pieces. And the timing is coming right for many of you to start laying those down, for you to start saying what you think, what you believe, what you state, what truth you can create around you, because that is the energy of the new world. And it's here. It's anchoring every single day. Now, we will tell you, since the host has brought up the word news, we will tell you that the keeper has always been a news addict, watching everything that goes on throughout the world up until a few years ago. About 3 years ago, we asked him to turn it off for a week. He did. He went a little crazy during that week, but he turned it off. He hasn't turned it back on since. There's a lot of reasons. The main reason is not that it's better to turn off the news. That's not the idea. You want to be involved in your world. But for him and his addiction to that, it was wonderful. And what that allowed to happen was something entirely different. And what will tell you everyone can deal with. You have all these things going on, war, you have takeover, you have genocide, all the things that we talked about, the horrible things that are taking place, but they exist down here. If you can live up here, they don't exist in your world. And that's the key to remember. You can make them important or you can not make them important. It is your choice. But we ask you, drop it down, smile, raise your vibration, do whatever you need to put that smile on your face. Know that you are home. Know that you are connected and an integral part of everything that you see and touch. And
Mm.
step forward into this thing and enjoy the journey, because that's really what this whole process is about. You are collecting material. You had some years ago, you had a movie called E.T. that talked about an extraterrestrial that came down basically to collect plant life. He was a botanist and he came down to collect plant life and ended up getting caught. And they wrote a whole story about the whole process, everything that was taking place. Interesting stuff. You are very similar to that. In
Mm.
many ways, you are here on Earth collecting experiences. You have no idea. You judge yourself by your experiences and sometimes what you can attain or what you can improve or how you can elevate yourself. But we tell you it's much more than that. It's a collective, not only of this life, but all the lives that you put into this. You have helped Earth and humanity evolve much more than you understand. You see yourself in the masses as one of billions, 8 billion to be exact, but the reality is you're much more than that. If you can tap into that self-worth, you will find the spirit confidence to do your real work. And that's what many of you have turned this on today to hear. You have important things that you've come to do yourself. And we hope that you're able to step into that, raise your vibration enough to experience that, and know the joy that you have directly in front of you. This is going to be an exciting time on planet Earth. There are ups and downs. Yes, you will find yourself sometimes walking through a mud puddle. You'll wonder how you got there. You'll wonder what you did wrong. There's only one secret to walking through mud puddles, and that's to keep walking. Don't stop and think about it. Just keep moving. The reality is there's another piece that you're aiming for, and you will get there. So there's going to be some ups and downs for all of you as you clear the way. Change is not easy for humans, but you're heading in a beautiful direction. And wait until you see what's coming. You'll never doubt it again. You'll understand more of your own ability to connect in very deep ways. And that's what we wish to give you this day. And with that, we will leave you for now. But we wanted to give you a sample of who we are behind the veil. Now, you can come and watch the Keeper channel, us, the group, as he calls us. But you also have this inside of each of you. And that is our intent, to awaken that deep within each and every one of you so that you have access to this yourselves. That's the next level that everyone is reaching for. And it's time, dear ones. With that, we thank you for the opportunity to greet you in this way. Know that you are the greatest angels that have ever lived. You've taken off your wings to have this experience for a brief time, but know that you're doing well. Treat each other with the greatest of respect. Nurture one another and play well together in this new game you're creating. We are the group, and we love you dearly. Aspavu.
Mm. Wow. So uplifting. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the group and for you to bring that message through. A lot
Thanks.
of important things that were said there. And really it's tapping into our self-worth and actually, as you learned, shutting down things that distract us and lower our frequency. I just want to share that we will always know when there's big news on this planet. Somehow it makes its way into our field. So keeping up with the chaos and the show is not necessary. Thank you. I'm going to try that too. That's wonderful. So as you were listening to that, there's something that came up for me. It's like, okay, so we can live up here in higher frequencies. What do you have to say about this notion of control, how we each, like letting go, it might seem a little freaky for some of us. It's like, how do you completely let go and not be in control? How did you deal with that control or
It,
not?
I'd love to say that I've mastered it. I haven't. I'm just like most humans. I try to, the group allows me to think that I'm in control once in a while. So that works. We kind of balance a little bit, but the reality is I've learned to follow the path. And the path is not some large spiritual piece that's laid out in front of me. What the path is that the energy's drawing me over here, the energy's pushing me away over here. I've learned to follow that. And some of that is the group opening doors, pushing me places. Um, I channel all the time, not just when I mean, they're here all the time. Most of the time, I don't remember that they're there. I don't ask them questions all the time. They don't give me information about myself anyway or my family. They kind of keep a little distance there. But the interesting aspect is they're with me all the time. I can be driving down the street and I'll see somebody on the side of the road or something happened, an accident or something, and they'll say, pay attention. So I'm driving, I'm trying to take everything in, and I don't know what they're talking about. And I go down the road and forget all about it. A week later, they pull that image up in my brain and they have this beautiful channel all about it. So they're with me all the time planting these seeds. And most of the time, they're just telling me, pay attention. We're going to talk about this later. So it's kind of like I'm on my own seed collecting journey
Mhm.
myself, trying to collect as many things as they'll show me. So that's kind
Wow.
of what it feels
Okay.
like.
Wow. All right. We have time for some questions. There's a few here.
Sure.
And well, here's one that is really fresh and of the moment. Many are feeling this need to step up in new ways, like New Earth, it's on, it's on. How do we identify our roles here? What is a good way to really, we each have these seeds, we each carry these seeds. What is the best way that you can offer for us to identify what we should be doing?
It's going to be about the heart. We
Hmm.
balance between the head and the heart. The way they talk about it, I'm a very technical person myself. I like to build computers and things. So they show me the electromagnetic spectrum, which is a spiral. You measure it this way, it's electricity. You measure it that way, it's magnetism. This is electricity. This is magnetism. So they equate a lot of that to me. And the way that I have to do is I have to move in here. I will normally work from here entirely from the head if I possibly can. I've always been the thinker and try to plan things out. And they really wanted me to let go of that and learn a different lifestyle. And that took some work. I will absolutely tell you that took some work. Um, and the way that I learned not to do it was through failure, through pushing. I wanted something so bad that even though they were opening doors over here, and they never tell me, turn right, turn left. They never do that. But they've taught me to follow the energy. And if
Okay.
I absolutely insist on going someplace that I think I want, I usually get there and I'm very disappointed. Usually what happens.
Okay, that's a good roadmap.
Yeah,
That
that's
right
what happens.
there. Wow, that really is right there. And I know that I'm not the only one right now looking in my life and going, okay. It's fascinating that the door that recognizing when our guides are talking to us, opening the doors over here. And so you said that keyword, follow the energy.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's it.
That's a huge lesson right there. It's very
It is.
simple, but following the energy. So that means the feelings, right? If we're
That's
feeling
it. That's
control,
it.
like I gotta have that, or that's it. Okay.
That's the
Anything else
process.
you want to say on that? Because that's a big lesson.
Yeah, it really is. It was something that I had to really learn in order to do the work. There was several things that seemed counterintuitive.
Yeah.
I'll share another one with you that I had to learn that was very difficult for me to learn. In the very beginning, when I first started channeling, I was seeing a counselor. Barb and I were going through a lot of changes in our lives. So we started seeing this counselor together as a kind of a relationship counselor, but also individually. And she was a metaphysical teacher. And at one point, she told me, she said, Steve, you're going to become very famous. You're going to be in front of large groups of people. And I want to give you something that'll help you. She gave me a stone. It was a piece of hematite. I love hematite, black, masculine, good energy stone. So I said, thank you. She says, anytime people will be jealous of you or anything else, that energy will go into the stone and it will not reach you. And I said, cool. I said, I'll keep that with me. I put it in my pocket. I walked out the door. As soon as I walked out the door, the group said, lose that stone as quick as you can. You're
Oh.
drawing negative energy because you're expecting it.
Oh.
That was a whole, uh, again, very counterintuitive. And I really love this person that gave it to me. So I never told her, I never went back to try and tell her what happened because she did it out of her heart. She was trying to help me. But I had to learn that many times when we protect ourselves, we're actually creating what we're trying to protect ourselves from. We're creator beings. So yeah, we had that was very counterintuitive for me to learn and to live that type of a lifestyle where I didn't try to project all the time. Very challenging, but it
Okay.
works.
It works. What a good lesson. Again, I'm just looking back at certain things and it's like, okay, take a breath and let it go.
That's it.
Take a break and let it go. Because when we do, we can then trust the doors that are opening by following the energy. That's so beautiful. Okay. And that's a lesson that each of us have to walk step by step and
Yep,
understand in our own field and our own energy. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. Here are some questions coming up from our beautiful audience. First,
sure.
I want to get to Nora. Hi, Nora. Beautiful Nora has a question. It's my understanding that there are now 20 dimensions open to us. It rings true that I experienced them all. Do you have anything to share about this?
It's difficult to say because the group goes to they go to kind of the other spectrum. We have the definition of all the different dimensions and different aspects of that. They go to the we're not going to talk about all the dimensions. We're going to talk about the energy. We're going to talk about what you can experience up here. We're going to talk about how to get there. So they don't particularly go into some of those processes. The group itself is a name that I ended up coming up with. In the beginning, I wanted to know my friends in a chat room, we were all learning to channel. And out of that chat room of 5 people, 3 of them ended up being professional channels. Um, but they're channeling Viwamas from the 23rd dimension and all these names that I knew nothing about. I was a contractor. I didn't know anything about these things. So I asked the group, I said, tell me who you are, where you are from. I want to make sure you're not the bad guys. All the different fears about that. So I said, tell me who you are and what am I to call you? I knew there was multiples. I could tell there wasn't a single entity. And that's all I knew. And they said, no. I said, wait a minute, if you're not going to tell me who you are, I have to cut you off. And they
Mhm.
said, we honor your choices. And I cut them off for almost 3 days. And I was walking around with I was angry. Had this hole in my heart. It was a mess. 3 days later, I come back and I said, all right, tell me why you won't tell me who you are, if that's the case. And they said, well, we want you to take this message for the love content of the message and not because of a label placed on it. Now, that was quite contrary to all the people that I was working with in that chat room. So again, we took things on a different level. They took me in a different way, I think to give contrast so that I could see things from different perspectives and share that perspective. That's kind of what the group likes to do. They like to give us multiple perspectives so that we can choose our own choice, our own course. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I believe that that does. And, that allows us each individually to do what we need to do and trust what
Yes.
we're getting so that we are not ourselves putting ourselves into, we should be doing it this way. Like we
Right.
need to have a name. So that's wonderful. That's beautiful. We hope that that helps. Thank you, Nora. Okay, Janine has a question. I live in higher frequencies. When I bring healing colors in, my attention bringing in a bluish silver color to a place in my body to heal, my mind distracts me. How can I connect an easy flow?
It takes practice to be able to do that in different ways. I will also tell you that you have done this professionally in a previous lifetime, but for other people, not for yourself. You were healing people with you're very visual. You are what we call the clairvoyant. You will get your energy through that process, which is why you see colors in particular. Not everybody is wired that way. We're all wired slightly different. That gives you abilities to tap into people's energy very clearly. There's a lot of things that have happened with people that have had your gift. One of them is the Indigo Children, of course, is all about Nancy Tappy, who basically had this disorder called kinesthesia, where she mixed up her senses and couldn't tell that she would smell food, or she would smell taste, and different. Everything was all mixed up. So anyway, it was all about color for her, and she was seeing all these different energies coming in. You have that same gift. And it's difficult to do because in the previous lifetime that you were in there, you misused it in some way. So you've got this little twinge of guilt. That's what I would go to do. I would go into either a meditation, or if you want to work with somebody that can lead you through it, or a healer or anybody else, to go through and experience that and forgive yourself. Let that go. I think what you'll find from that point on is you won't be distracted as much. But I think you have and again, I don't necessarily see the past life, but from what the group is showing me, they're showing me the energy, that little twinge of guilt that is there. That's what's distracting you. And that's what's happening. And I think that does come from a previous lifetime. Experience that, remember that, it'll be gone. It's that simple.
Mhm.
I hope that
Great.
helps.
Hope that helps you, Janine. That is amazing. All right. Here is a question from George. George says, I've been a medium for the Hathors. I attend various kirtans, gospel choir, and my sounding lifts the group by the harmonies coming through me. Is there a next step you can suggest for me?
You have a modality that you have developed. Uh, I would not call it a healing modality per se, because you didn't typically use it for people that were ill to get better, but you use it to elevate people. So, which is why you were so attracted to the choir thing and some of the other energies. The Hathor energies, all the energies that you've connected with, very real, very positive. Stay on it. You have a deep connection there that you have developed. Now, the challenge comes from when you move from the student to the teacher. There's a little gap of confidence that usually steps in at that point, but that's where I see you. You've done this several times before. I hope you take your power. We need you. We need your, you can heal with that voice. Very simple.
Mm.
And if I can leave you with those words, you've done it before. Step forward, find ways of doing it now. You'll step in there. And that's vibrational healing at its best. Absolutely.
Wow, George, I hope that you are feeling the truth in that and you are excited. And I'm going to just do a quick little plug. George, contact me. Come on, Quantum Conversations. That could be a next step for you.
There you
Don't
go.
be nervous. Okay. All right. Well, this is really very, very cool. We have a few more moments. Then we're going to do an after party with you. When we end this live stream, we're going to do a
Sure.
nice Q&A with everyone in our Zoom audience. So if you're on YouTube, check the link in the YouTube chat and you'll be able to join us on Zoom. Here's a question. Okay, that was Janine again, getting her mind out of the way. All right. Miri says, I'm sitting on my back deck watching the clouds, listening to you, all to say I now have many days where I'm just being, and my mind
Beautiful.
says I should be doing something. Thoughts on that?
Mind. heart. Your mind will always want to project into the future. Who am I going to be? What should I be doing? Why am I being lazy now? Your heart, on the other hand, is reviving itself from those moments where you're just watching the clouds. We all need that. I am a doer. I'm a Capricorn. I'm always going to organize something or create something or do something in that way. So the reality is, I have to do that too. I have to learn to stop and enjoy the clouds as they pass by, to stop and smell the roses once in a while. That is not easy for me to do, but it's critical. You have a nerve that comes down behind the back of the neck, behind the ears, and it goes to six of the seven chakras. It's your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve carries your stress, according to the group. This is not medical news. This is the group. And we have to constantly learn how to release that stress if we're going to step into higher vibrations. Most of the time, you can release that stress through the normal means. Sometimes through exercise, sometimes, although exercise is a form of stress itself, the reality is sometimes we can do it in different ways. Sometimes we need to just jump in the bathtub. Sometimes, I have a sauna. That's what I do. I go in my sauna and I just disappear. If somebody comes in my sauna and starts talking to me and telling me they're gone, no, that's out. This is my raise my vibration time, plain and simple. And I had to learn that because it wasn't. There used to be, when I first built the sauna many years ago, there used to be a pad and paper in there where I could write down notes and make plans, and not anymore. So I had to change a lot of things around it. Find your ways of grounding and releasing that stress. That's going to be critical at this point. I hope that helps.
It helps, and we can already feel what that stress does if we do not regulate it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
good. Okay. I really feel that the world should be singing and dancing. Every
That would be nice.
singing and dancing and humming. Come on, people. Let's do that. Let's make that a reality. Okay. Janine says yes, she feels really good, and this is a practice she's going to do. Thank you for that. Cindy and then Robert, our last two questions. Cindy says, I have experience with claircognizance and channeling myself. I get messages, but I don't know from who or where. Is there a way to find out so it's more clear?
You can ask. In my case, they refused to answer because my lesson was all about trust. My life lesson was all about learning to trust. I'm working with two primary life lessons, trust and communication. You may not know that to hear me talk because I've done pretty good on both of them, but I was the typical person that used to stick my head in the sand when things would come up, and I had to learn a lot around those types of situations. Yeah, you're doing really well with it. Good, good.
Very good. Yes. And then we have a question from Robert. Will I ever be able to channel?
Probably not in the way that you're expecting to channel. I will say that. I do believe that you have several gifts that you use. When most people channel, and I think this applies to you, Robert, from what they're showing me, most people channel when they're working with someone else. In other words, your neighbor has a problem. They just lost their job, somebody died, something happened, and you end up doing kitchen table counseling. Perfect. But in that situation, you're trying to just make them comfortable or anything else, and the perfect words slip out of your mouth that you didn't even know you were going to say. That happens all the time. And that is pure channeling. That's exactly what it is. So, how do you set yourself up to do that all the time? That's the question. Well, I had to write books. That's how I got there. I had to write books and do traveling and do other aspects of it. But we all channel. So find that first form of channeling, like I said, find the way that you're doing, and then see if you can move it over into these other channels. And when you connect to that channel, connect for the content of the channel first, and then ask for a name or ask for something. You'll get something. It's like I knew there were multiple beings in the group, but I didn't know their name or what I could call them. And I just ended up calling them One day I said, this group is telling me this. And somebody wrote back and said, well, what does your group say about this? That's where the name the group came from. So I never got that answer. So you're probably answering the wrong person, is what's happening.
Uh,
So I never got that answer. They later told me they were from the angelic realm, what
mm,
we call the angelic realm, because we have very confused visions of what's really on the other side of the veil. But that's what they said. But
Again,
anyway,
it's so comforting because you've been doing this for 30 years and yet you're not caught up on who it is. And again, it's the content and the vibration that
that's it.
has absolutely changed your life and changed the lives of so many. Again, I congratulate you on that. And
Thank you,
so
Lauren.
as we say goodbye, again, I want to invite people to come into our Zoom audience. We're going to be here for about 20, 30 minutes taking questions with Steve. You get to talk to him and say hello. And then we want to also let people know about a really sacred course. This is a course that's available. I'm going to drop the link into the Zoom, but on the page that got you to today's program, you're going to see this course called Scripting New Contracts. And this is really letting you release energetic burdens and so much more. Can you give us a little overview about this, Steve? Thank you.
Mhm. We do contracts on the other side of the veil all the time. The group likes to give us these little images. They say we have the big table where we bring all these spirits together and we ask this person to play this role and this person to play this role. But we also have contracts that we can script here. And that's what this 2-day course is. How do we script things that we want to bring into our reality right now? How do we change our course and set direction in a new direction? Well, that's what this is. And on top of this, this course ends both days with activations. These are audio, video activations that I basically have learned to do in all of the events that I do, and all of the courses that I give on the website at steverother.org. They will almost all end with an activation, audio, video activation that basically works with bringing the same energy in a different way. So that's what this is. This opens the door for you to create a new contract. The only thing I'll tell you about it is be careful what you set into motion. It will be your reality.
Okay, that is so exciting. And that is a really special offering. It's a really great price. Again, we thank you for making this available to this community, and we
Sure.
encourage everyone to work with that. This is awesome. I'm excited to work with it because, wow, I think we all can find this beneficial in our lives. What is it that we want? What is that newness, the new contract? Be careful what you wish for, but work with this. Okay,
Exactly.
awesome. So, Steve, thank you so much. We're going to stick around after the music
Thank you.
plays here, but I wanted to give you a moment to share any final thoughts for the broadcast audience.
We see, as we turn on the news, we see everything kind of upside down at this moment. And it's really difficult because a lot of things that we were attached to, a lot of things that we were hoping that would happen, don't seem to be going in that direction. Be patient. That's the biggest piece. Don't lose hope. You're holding an energy, you're holding a vision, and that vision is happening the fastest way that it can happen. So don't buy into all the stuff that you're seeing. Keep your eyes on that vision, on that larger aspect of being able to live in a higher reality where these things exist, but they're down here. You almost have to look for them to find them. That's what we're looking for. So that's the message I'd like to leave.
Thank you for that. That is so beautiful and uplifting, and we are truly inspired. And our light is radiant from this conversation. I thank you, Steve, the group, and I thank all hearts who are tuning in to this live show or the replay, because you are on this too. You're part of this, and it's so
Yes, you are.
exciting. And we thank you for your light, your heart light, and your love. It truly matters at this time on the planet. Steve, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Lauren.
everyone.
It's a
We'll see
pleasure.
you in just a few moments after the music. Bye.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living.
Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.